we crunched the numbers on this, and if you take Hancock's starts where you eliminate his first one and you eliminate the one he had in Chicago, all the starts in between there, his ERA is 3.6.
Right.
And this is why sometimes I roll my eyes a little bit at ERA, because one blow-up start when the weather's 100 degrees with 30-mile-an-hour winds in Chicago tanks your whole ERA.
First of all, Lyle, you know what I'm going to go do right now? I'm going to go back to some of my years. You can look at my bad years, and when I got a 6 ERA, I'm just going to cherry pick some of the bad ones and see if I can get back to a 3. How about that? Welcome to the Top Step presented by Warrior Injury Law. If you're injured, contact attorney Rob Edens at 253-WARRIOR, battle tested. How are we going, mates? Welcome to another episode of the Top Step. We are out of the studio, and guess what? We are in the hall here on Occidental. This is my first time here, and I'm with some good mates of mine from the Marine Layer podcast. Fellas, I need to bring you on because we're just over the halfway point. We need to start figuring out some Mariner topics in regards to where this team sits right now. We've got an MVP candidate. Guys, welcome.
Hi, Ivan. Thanks for having us.
This is great. You guys have been here a few times, right?
Been here a few times. Yeah, we get to experience it a little bit, but
I love it.
Getting to sit here and record in here yet. Have not done that.
You guys haven't recorded in here yet?
No,
Not yet.
we have not.
Okay.
Not till right now, and this place is sick, by the way.
As of when this is recording, it'll be the next day we'll be back here.
Well, we got a lot to get to. Before we do, I have ordered some food. I ordered you guys some food too. They got wings. The smash burger apparently is the go. So I'm hoping by after we come back from the break, we're gonna have some food here.
Well, you know what Lyle has to have.
What's that?
Lemon pepper wets.
It's kind of my go-to thing.
It is?
Yeah.
Here it is.
What's the story behind that? Give it to me.
Cal Raleigh hit a homer, and it flew all the way into my wings, smashed them all over the table.
Trust me, I've seen the video. All right. That didn't really happen, right?
All right, you want a little
that's
secret?
right.
No, it didn't really happen.
It didn't really happen.
No.
Well, listen, fellas, we've got a lot to get to. We have got a team right now. We're at the halfway point, or just over the halfway point. We've got a potential MVP candidate in Cal Raleigh, right? Now, again, he's behind Aaron Judge. We know that. And you look at some of the numbers with Judge and Cal Raleigh, you need some sort of little X factor to push him over, right? So this brings us to our first segment, that is Eyes on the M's, brought to you by King LASIK. Hey mates, listen, if you're ready for LASIK, just like I was a few years ago, it was one of the best decisions I ever made. Go to kinglasik.com, have that free Zoom consultation with Dr. King. Great decision. I love it. I haven't had any issues with my eyes. I was in and out within 15 minutes. Go to kinglasik.com. All right, Cal Raleigh. Everyone's starting to talk about, is he a potential MVP candidate? Aaron Judge, when you're talking batting average, as we stand right now, middle of the season, batting average, on base, OPS, WAR, everything, he beats him out in all those numbers, right? But there has to be some kind of X factor. Everyone's talking about what he does behind the plate. I brought you guys on because I listen to you guys. You guys are hardcore Mariner fans. You love the team, right? And you break it down really well. What is it going to be? What's going to be that X factor? If it stood right now where he is sitting behind him in most of the numbers, what's going to push him over to get that MVP vote?
I have one thing. Let's start with one thing, and I think it might be the simplest one. It's the one that Cal's best at. It's the one that has defined him this season. What if Cal breaks Judge's record? It's not Judge's record anymore. It's not Judge and Roger Maris anymore. It's Cal Raleigh's record. And he does it in a league where it's harder to hit. He's catching every day, and he's doing it from both sides of the plate. That feels like a pretty good argument to me.
In a tougher ballpark.
In a way tougher ballpark. Are you kidding me? If Cal played in Yankee Stadium, maybe he would have 70. You just poke one off the end of the bat. It goes over the right field fence.
I want to get to some of those numbers in just a second. Do you think the catching, do you think what he does behind the plate and with the pitching staff and all that you hear the conversation about with how good he is on the defensive side of things, managing a pitching staff, does that have any kind of push for some of these votes?
I would think so. Look, that can't really be quantified with WAR, unfortunately, but when you handle one of the best rotations in all of baseball, I would hope that factors into people's decisions. And Cal's going to have a chance here in a couple weeks to put himself on the biggest stage when now he's going to be doing the Derby. You expect he's going to be in the All-Star game. Those aren't things that are, again, quantifiable, but when you get put on the national stage and if you thrive and he keeps chasing that Judge home run record, yeah, you would have to think he's going to start to swing some voters. Because, by the way, in the Triple Crown categories, I know those are a little bit old school, but he's leading in home runs and RBIs.
But they help with votes, man. They help with a lot of these votes. When you're talking batting average, RBI, some of the simple numbers, right?
Another thing that's probably not going to be accounted for by voters. Unfortunately, you're aware how pitchers prepare before a game. You sat in pitchers' meetings, strategizing with opponent. Do you think Judge has ever sat in a pitchers' meeting?
No.
Cal Raleigh sits in every pitcher's meeting because he's the one running this pitching staff.
Yeah.
So think about all this time he doesn't get to prepare for his opponent on the mound because he's preparing for what the batters of the other team are going to do. And yet he's still doing this.
Do you think it's up to, if the Mariners don't make the playoffs, that basically, does that have a big, I'll rephrase that. If the Mariners make the playoffs, that gives them a big push too, right? Surely.
Enormous boost.
Yeah, it has to.
Yeah.
Because if they don't make the playoffs, I think that's going to make it tougher when you assume the Yankees are going to get in. If the Mariners get into the playoffs, what's going to be the story of the season? It's going to be Cal Raleigh.
And the pitching, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Which he takes plenty of account into as well.
I think looking at this, like you look at some of the call them the average RBI home runs. Let's say RBIs. Let's say he can beat out Judge in one of those categories. And you have a situation, we're talking at the end of 162, you have a situation where the Mariners get a wild card spot, don't win the division, and they do it because you had enough pitching to put them over the edge. And you have, a Logan Gilbert, a Bryce Miller, and call O'Brien Wu saying, yeah, well, Cal, man, working with Cal. You hear that comment a lot in September. You think that's enough in regards to votes?
If they can vote, if Logan Gilbert can go to the Baseball Writers Association of America and say, I need a vote for MVP so I can vote Cal.
But I'm saying to these voters here that go, man, there is some extra little push there.
I would hope it helps. I mean, you hear those guys say that right now. It's not like they just say it in September. They've said it ever since they started pitching to Cal Raleigh and started throwing a Cal back behind the plate. They've said, yeah, he's an enormous difference for our success.
Yeah. Hey, one more for you. Could Cal get a 10-plus WAR season?
Yes.
You think so?
I think he will at this point. If he stays healthy, if he stays healthy, he's going to hit it.
I mean,
it would take probably an injury for him not to cross that mark.
That is so difficult, man. I was looking at some numbers last night. Guys who have been, a plus 7.5 WAR, 5 or 6 times. I mean, Griffey had what? Griffey had a plus 8. I want to say, you guys can help me out with this. Maybe a plus 8, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here. Maybe 3 or 4 times.
Griffey had a couple 9s.
He
got
nines, right?
really close to 10 a couple times. There's only one 10 WAR season in Mariners history. A-Rod did it in 99 or 2000, one of those two. He was at 10, but Cal's on pace to break that right now.
Well, look, I hope there is some sort of, getting away from the numbers, something where his teammates need to help him out, by the way. The teammates need to just crush it. I'm talking the pitching. The pitching needs to crush it in August and September and push him over the edge if he can keep this pace up, which is really, really tough to do. Really tough to do. All right, that was Eyes on the M's brought to you by King LASIK. Stick around. We're giving out mid-season awards for this Mariners team. Yes, we have an obvious MVP, but we have some other ones too we need to dive into. We're here at the Hall on Occidental. We'll be right back.
I'm attorney Rob Iddens, proud Marine Corps veteran and owner of Warrior Injury Law. We help all types of injury victims, like Ann, who broke her leg in a trip and fall accident.
I had broken my femur and I was in horrific pain. We chose Warrior because they had a good reputation. I wasn't just a name, I was a person, and that makes a big difference. I'm just grateful that we had the settlement for my care. I'm very pleased.
If you've been injured, call us at 253-WARRIOR. Warrior Injury Law. Battle tested.
Wellness. How do you practice it easily every day? At Olympic Hot Tub, we have more ways to achieve total wellness at home than ever before. Immerse yourself and let jets melt stress away in a saltwater hot spring spa. Swim in the privacy of your own backyard in an endless pool swim spa. Retreat to cozy warmth and detox in an amazing Tilo sauna. Then awaken your mind and body with a cold plunge. You'll be saying, ah, in no time. Your path to wellness starts today at Olympic Hot Tub. Better you, better life.
See life better with perfect, clear, natural vision from King LASIK.
Being a former professional athlete, I still love staying active. From paddleboarding, snowboarding, even playing with the kids, everything was such a hassle dealing with glasses and contacts. I'm so grateful to Dr. King and King LASIK. It's amazing how much better I see life.
I'm Dr. Joseph King. Let's free your eyes from the hassle of glasses and dirty contacts.
Schedule your free consult at kinglasik.com. King LASIK. See life better.
All right, welcome back to the Top Step. We are here at the Hall on Occidental, right down the road from T-Mobile Park, and we've got some food here too. I got the smash burger. It looks pretty good. I'm ready to smash it. What do you fellas got? What do we got over there?
Well, we got the big Hall pretzel sitting right in front of me. We got some cheese sauce here, Hyphen.
If you see a hand sneak over, I'm sorry.
Cheese
That's
sauce.
just the way it goes.
There's a lot of butter on that pretzel.
I like it. Oh, don't say that. What do you got, Lyle?
Well, that's the Hall signature, and then my signature at the Hall, you got to go with the lemon pepper wings.
Love it.
It's my thing.
I love it. Looks good. All right, listen. We've got some awards to give out. Now, first of all, Mariners MVP. What do you got? I'm just going to throw it at you guys. It's pretty obvious at this point.
I was going to say, you're making it real tough. I don't know who to pick.
Are we eliminating Cal?
Cal is the obvious choice.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else that sticks out to you guys that deserves some votes, at least, at the midway point?
Andres Munoz, because the Mariners bullpen for a year plus now has not been the force it was 21, 22, and 23 when you could sit there and legitimately say this bullpen's a big reason why they're winning games.
Yeah.
But what Andres Munoz has done this year, after he had kind of a shaky end to his season last year, Mariners blew some games, ended up not making the playoffs. They get to this season, and they have one guy in their bullpen they can go to, and essentially every time they go to him, they're winning a baseball game. And he's been unbelievably nasty. He's refined his arsenal more than any reliever I've seen in a Mariners uniform. Some guys will just go out there, as you know, and they like to have the same stuff. It's simple, simplified. Yeah. He's evolving, and he's been so clutch.
Well, who you got? Who needs some votes, man?
Can I go with Brian Wu? I mean, this is a guy who's not only gone 6 innings every single start he's made this year, but when the rotation had some injuries, when Kirby took a bit to get back, and Gilbert goes down, and Miller's battled some things all year, what's been the constant through all of it? They've not only had Brian Wu, but they've had Brian Wu pitching like a borderline ace and certainly a borderline all-star. And if he's not pitching the way he's pitching this year, I don't really know where this rotation's at in the month of April and May.
Does he make that all-star team? He's kind of like, it's tough, man, because, okay, how many starters and relievers they usually mix it up? Because when I'm looking at him, when you line him up in the categories, he's sitting there, there's a couple 16ths, there's a couple 10ths. So has he got a chance of making this team?
I'd like to think he does, and I certainly think he has a real case. But to your point, with all the starters in the American League that have been as good as they've been, it's less about Brian Wu and more how good American League pitching's been this year. So what always happens with these pitchers when you get close to the All-Star game is some guys get too close to the turn in their rotation, so they don't actually physically pitch. They put some alternates on the roster. So do I think Brian Wu, at the end of the day, has the chance to be in Atlanta and suit up for the All-Star game? Yeah, I do, even if it's not in the first round of votes.
Yeah.
Hyphen, I got another MVP for you. Maybe he's not first, but he should be up there because he's been one of the more underrated players in all baseball this year. The Mariners are not as successful this season if J.P. Crawford's not doing what he's doing.
Absolutely.
They started this man this year hitting 9th in the order and had Victor Robles as the leadoff man. He lost his job essentially as the leadoff hitter, but then he comes back and he has showed almost a better approach than what he had in his breakout year in 2023. And it has been a huge part of why Cal's been able to drive in so many runs is because JP's always on in front of him.
Who's the Mariners' unsung hero? Who's the guy who's kind of maybe we're not given enough credit towards, someone who's made the biggest difference in regards to maybe behind the scenes a little bit? I've got one for you, but you guys go ahead. Lyle, I'll start with you.
I know I've got one for this. It's Emerson Hancock. Because again, going back to the rotation and needing stability when some of these guys were injured, we crunched the numbers on this. And if you take Hancock's starts where you eliminate his first one and you eliminate the one he had in Chicago, all the starts in between there, his ERA is 3.6. Right. And this is why sometimes I roll my eyes a little bit at ERA, because one blow-up start when the weather's 100 degrees with 30-mile-an-hour winds in Chicago tanks your whole ERA. If you ask me, Emerson Hancock's look way more like a guy with a 3.6 ERA this year than what it is right now.
First of all, Lyle, you know what I'm going to go do right now? I'm going to go back to some of my years. You can look at my bad years, and when I got a 6 ERA, I'm just going to cherry pick some of the bad ones and see if I can get back to a 3. How about that? All right, who you got?
Unsung, Donovan Solano.
Okay, all right.
Especially recent. If we're going to throw out some recency bias, in April, I'm not going to say that. That would be extremely unfair to the entire roster. But recently, I mean, he has been one of the more consistent players on the team.
For sure.
You were talking about how important he was in that clubhouse, how important he is. The team had talked about last year how good Justin Turner was to everybody. And they needed someone to fill that role, and that was something they were missing the year before in 23. Solano's kind of filled that role, hasn't he?
I like it, man. And again, to see a guy who doing what he's doing in the month of April, kind of, all right, where do I fit in? Am I ever going to get at bats? Checking the lineup cut every single day. I'm trying to remember back in April if they even had like a Rowdy Tellez versus lefties at some point, just to be like, Solano's struggling that much, or that option at first base, to where he's at now. And you look at some of his numbers here as we're looking at the end of June. I'm going to go. You mentioned Andres Munoz as your backup MVP candidate. I'm going to go Matt Brash because, look, he comes off TJ, situation where they have to sort of slow play him a little bit. He's efficient enough where they can pitch him, have a day or two off, and go again. If he has these like 25 pitch innings, man, you're going to sit him for 3 or 4 days. You are going to have situations where Munoz, you're going to have to press that panic button in the 8th inning, wear him down. And I feel like with Matt Brash being that unsung hero, and I'm not saying, like the little engine that could, where it's like, hey, he only throws 92, but hey, good job. No, he's nasty, I get it. But you're in a situation where Munoz, when you're talking August, September, is going to be in a place where you can empty the tank because you didn't have to wear him out in April, May. So I'm going to go with Matt Brash for the unsung hero.
I mean, in 16 appearances, the guy hasn't given up a run.
Absolutely.
When you come back from Tommy John, there's some expectation, right, that it takes a little bit of time to work your way back into full strength, especially when you get back as quick as Brash did. But no, he hasn't missed a beat since he came back.
I know we're just guys naming dudes right now. Gabe Spire, too.
Yeah, it's
Oh
true.
my God.
I need to give some to him, too.
One of the most
for sure.
underrated players in baseball.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to give some to Gabe Spire. And he's on the same level as if you're throwing him with J.P. Crawford, where you didn't quite know what you're going to get. He had a rough year last year, man.
Yeah.
It was like...
Delo's down. He wasn't healthy. Goes back. He essentially doesn't take any time off this offseason, puts his head down, and comes out and is paid off so much.
All right, that was the San Juan Seltzer interview. Stick around. We'll be right back. We're going to play the trade game. I'm going to put these guys on the spot because I know they've got their finger on the pulse when it comes to some of this trade talk. And I'm going to put my finger on this burger and absolutely smash this smash burger here at the Hall on Occidental. We'll be right back here on the Top Step. Welcome back to the Top Step. This segment is brought to you by Olympic Hot Tub. Look, a daily soak in a saltwater hot spring spa, a swim in an endless pool swim spa, or a therapeutic session in a Tylo sauna are ways Olympic Hot Tub can help you feel, live, and be better. Start today at olympichottub.com, just like I did. I got mine just a couple days ago. I can't wait to jump in that thing. Better you, better life. All right, let's get back to the hall and jump back in with the fellas from Marine Leopold. All right, welcome back to the Top Step. We're here at the Hall on Occidental. We're about to play a fun little game, but we've got a couple beers. I've smashed that smash burger. It was legit, fellas. Well, how are your signature wings over there, Lyle?
Dude, they're amazing.
Are you trying to get these like rebranded to be the Lyle wings or something? Or what?
If the Hall wants to change the name to the Marine Layer Pod Lemon Peppers,
yeah, he's dropping hints, by the way. That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing.
Future product placement.
I know what you're up to. But no, having a good time. We're really close to T-Mobile Park, having a blast. We have got the trade game coming up. I'm going to give you some scenarios. You only have one choice, by the way. Okay, so this is one of these ones where the Mariners, right, there's a lot of trade talk happening right now. You've got the trade deadline coming up. You've got one option, and that's it. All right, so I know you're trying to bend the rules here, fellas. Okay, I know you guys have got your finger on the pulse. Here are your options, and you can play along too at home. You can choose between a power hitting, middle of the lineup, rental player. In other words, you're paying the rest of the contract. You may have some obligations for next year too. Okay, so you got the hefty contract. We're talking a 30-plus home run bat, right in the middle of the lineup. Okay, corner infielder. I'll throw some other stipulations there. Or choice number two relievers with back end stuff. We're talking high end. They got closer stuff. May have had some closer experience too. Two of them. You get two of them. Okay. And you've got a year or so of control. There's a bit of control there, or maybe some hefty, you got to pay a little bit, age 30. But we're talking they'll change your bullpen, in other words. The last one is a player that you have control of for the next 3 to 5 years, has a chance to be an all-star. He had that kind of prospect status where he was at. They're willing to give up on him, right? But he's making his way in the big leagues, where he could be potentially in the next couple of years be a game changer. But it's more of that future pick. Which one are we going with?
I'm going to go with the bullpen arms.
Okay.
I think bullpen arms.
No one wants
are
to
the
hear that, by the way.
No one does. Everyone wants the bat. And I
Everyone
get
wants
it
the
because
bat.
the Mariners need to score some more runs at some point. But the Mariners almost as much need bullpen arms as they do bats. If you look at how the both units perform, it's not that different at this point. You do have Andres Munoz and Matt Brash. You have Gabe Spire. Everyone else, you cannot for certain say, all right, these guys are taking us to the postseason. Unfortunately,
For sure.
you cannot say that. And if you have the option to get, here's an example. We talked about this on our podcast. The Rays don't like paying guys a lot of money. They definitely don't like paying relievers a lot of money. Pete Fairbanks has a chance to make up to $10 million next year as a bullpen arm. And I don't think the Rays want to pay a reliever $10 million, even in contention. So if you make the Rays an offer they can't refuse and go get Pete Fairbanks, that guy makes your bullpen better.
How old's Fairbanks? He's 30 plus, right?
He's 30 plus, yeah, and
Okay.
he's got one more year after this one.
Okay, of 10 million.
It's $7 million with
sorry.
incentives, but
Okay.
it'll get up to $10 million.
Lyle, what are you going with? We'll get back to that in just a second.
I mean, I'm on TJ's same wavelength here, and it's the bullpen arms. And again, I know that's not the flashy answer, but I just think a bullpen that is dominant come postseason time makes or breaks rosters. Look at the Tigers last year.
Right.
The Tigers had all these bullpen arms get hot, and look how far that rode them. So if you're the Mariners, if I'm going to play off TJ's idea of Pete Fairbanks, and then let's add in, say, Kyle Finnegan from the Nationals,
There you go.
then all of a sudden you look at that bullpen and you say, man, these guys are really bulked up. These are 5-6 guys deep that can all pitch and leverage.
Can one bat, let's say you did go with that rental, 30-plus home run, we're talking a guy who's done that a couple times.
Are you essentially saying Josh Naylor or Ryan O'Hearn?
All right, okay, one of those guys. Does that one hitter, does that change things? Does that move the needle? The one hitter in this lineup?
One, marginally. Two, I say substantially.
Okay.
But your scenario here is one.
Right.
2, your lineup might be good. But even if you look at the Mariners lineup right now and you go around the diamond and look at, all right, where's a bat that doesn't fit there that needs to be replaced right now? There's not as many spots as there were earlier in the season, especially now that you got Cole Young up. There's a chance Harry Ford can be up sometime in the next month or two to help out this lineup as well.
Yeah. All right, we're here at the Hall on Occidental. We'll be right back. Of course, these guys can't go anywhere without playing How to Speak Australian. That's coming up right after the break. Don't go anywhere.
See life better with perfect, clear, natural vision from King LASIK.
Being a former professional athlete, I still love staying active. From paddleboarding, snowboarding, even playing with the kids, everything was such a hassle dealing with glasses and contacts. I'm so grateful to Dr. King and King LASIK. It's amazing how much better I see life.
I'm Dr. Joseph King. Let's free your eyes from the hassle of glasses and dirty contacts.
Schedule your free consult at kinglasik.com. King LASIK. See life better.
Wellness. How do you practice it easily every day? At Olympic Hot Tub, we have more ways to achieve total wellness at home than ever before. Immerse yourself and let jets melt stress away in a saltwater hot spring spa. Swim in the privacy of your own backyard in an endless pool swim spa. Retreat to cozy warmth and detox in an amazing Tilo sauna. Then awaken your mind and body with a cold plunge. You'll be saying, ah, in no time. Your path to wellness starts today at Olympic Hot Tub. Better you, better life.
I'm attorney Rob Iddens, proud Marine Corps veteran and owner of Warrior Injury Law. We help all types of injury victims, like Ed, who suffered a neck injury in a highway pileup.
Had a bulge disc in my neck. It was pinching my spinal cord, so reached out to Rob. It was amazing. Their whole team were honest and kept me informed, like they were actually interested in helping me, not just a number. I'm very pleased with the outcome. I would definitely choose these guys any time of the week.
If you've been injured, call us at 253 Warrior. Warrior Injury Law. Battle tested.
All right, welcome back to the Top Step, presented by Warrior Injury Law. If you're injured, contact attorney Rob Iddens at 253 Warrior. Battle tested. We are here at the Hall on Occidental, right down the road from T-Mobile Park with my friends from the Marine Layer podcast. Fellas, this is the How to Speak Australian, brought to you by the Kangaroo and Kiwi Pub. Great little pub out there in Ballard. You said you grew up in Ballard. You ever been to
I
Kangaroo
love
and
the
Kiwi?
Kangaroo and Kiwi.
It's a spot, mate.
It's
By
a
the
good
way,
spot.
it used to be a little hole-in-the-wall place near Green Lake where I used to live, and then they went all upscale on us. I couldn't believe it.
Beautiful building.
I was devastated. It's too big time for me now. But anyway, no, Kangaroo and Kiwi. All right, How to Speak Australian. I want you guys to tell me, I want you guys to tell me what a schooner is. Do you guys know what a schooner is?
I know exactly what a schooner is, Ryan.
Hey, hang on, before you go, Lyle, any idea?
A scooter?
A schooner.
Oh,
Now, we're in a pub, if that helps.
absolutely not. I'm going to be real.
Okay, what do you got?
A schooner is a beer.
Correct. All right. Do you know how many milliliters is in a schooner?
Milliliters. I was going to say 16 ounces.
Okay.
Is that not right?
It is
It is less than this, I know.
A little bit less than that,
Yeah.
yes. It is. Good job.
The sizing is in Australia is a little bit different than it is here.
It is. It is. Let me ask you this before we give you the answer. Is it larger or smaller than a midi? If I was to order a midi, if I was going to the bar and say, just a midi of new thanks, and use a schooner of news, a type of drink in Australia, right? A Tui's new, sorry. If I was to order a midi, would people be looking like a midi, or would they be like, oh man, he's getting after it?
It would be smaller.
Lyle, what do you got?
Is that a medium-sized beer?
It is in fact smaller. Good job, TJ. I like it. How do you know the answer to that?
It just sounds like you'd go up there and say, the way your body language went the first time you mentioned it was like, oh, I'm only going to have this much.
Yeah, right. So,
but a schooner's like, give me a pint.
Yeah, in Australia it's like, yeah, schooner and you, thanks, mate, or a schooner of VB, mate. That's how you ask him. It's like, yeah, there you go. So there you go. A schooner is big. Now, by the way, it is a little bit smaller than a pint. It's 15 ounces.
Do the Brits do schooners too?
Imperial measurements. What's that?
Do the Brits do schooners too?
I don't think they do. I don't know. Someone's going to kill me for not knowing that. Okay. No, I don't think they do. I think
That's how I knew the answer to that question.
Well, there you go. A schooner. There we go. Well, good job. That was How to Speak Australian, brought to you by the Kangaroo and Kiwi. By the way, fellas, this has been fun. I appreciate you guys being very upbeat about the Seattle Mariners coming up in this second half. What are you most excited about coming up in this second half of this team?
Watching Cal Raleigh go break Aaron Judge's record. I think it's going to be amazing. I think the last 2 weeks of September, while everyone's focused on football, people are going to be complaining about Cal Raleigh cutaways while he's chasing the record, and that,
the cutaway.
That, folks, is a good thing.
I love it. The cutaway.
Great thing.
I love it.
I just can't wait to see what this rotation does in the second half. Again, they're finally all healthy. They're finally all starting to fire on all cylinders. And to see them and what they can do after the All-Star break, you talked about it. This is going to be the make or break with this team. They're the X factor, is the pitching, and specifically that rotation. So to see them get back to the form we all know they can be, and I think will be. Yeah, I can't wait.
Now, by the way, if you're not following along or listening to the Marine Layer podcast, where can these guys look up the Marine Layer podcast?
We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on YouTube, we're at Marine Layer Pod on all of our social
and
media
you're
channels.
In person
and
at the hall.
One-stop shop, marinelayerpod.com.
There you go.
Merch.
Yeah,
I like
the
it.
merch.
Where's my free shirt?
marinelayerpod.com.
Do I get a free shirt or what?
We'll
I'm
get you
going to have to pay for that. I know it. I can tell.
No,
look at Lyle's
we'll
face. Well, fellas, this has been a blast. We're here at the Hall on Occidental. Make sure you come down. We'll be back here at some point as well. That was the Top Step. We'll see you next week right here on the Top Step.